Yeah, I'm going to apologize right now. That crunching sound you hear, and hopefully it's not that bad. We'll see when we listen to it in post. Freya's got a bone. So Freya, the destroyer of knees, is in the area, and she is quite happily chomping on a bone.
Chomping.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about was our personal experiences up in Whitehall. And these are things that weren't weren't collected or captured. And the very first one, which happened Friday night, was when you woke up. So why don't you tell us exactly what happened?
I was on my air mattress, and it was pushed up against the side of the tent. And I remember it was right before the proximity alarm went off. And I was laying there, I was asleep, and I felt like something brush up against the tent, like a horizontal across the tent. But it sort of, because my air mattress was pushed up against the tent, it sort of vibrated through the air mattress, and it woke me up. And I was just thinking, what was that when the proximity alarm went off?
Oh, okay. So that's one thing I wasn't really aware, because I thought that this had happened like prior to the prox alarm going off.
It was right before.
Right before. And that was on your side of the tent.
Correct, yes. Where was the proximity sensor? Relative.
That first night, there was one. I don't think we had one on your side. I only had two out that night. One was pointed again at the tent, which would have been my back.
Okay, because I was thinking it was on the short side of the tent where both of our heads were.
No, okay. There was a stump that was.
Yeah, I remember tripping over the stump about 8,000 times. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's where I had the one.
Oh, okay.
That was pointing at the tent. The other one was on the other side of the fire ring, pointing out towards the woods.
And the stump was about 30 feet from the tent. What's the range on those?
I would have said that stump was about 5 to 6 yards, easily.
About 20 feet. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't quite aware because, one of the things that we talked about, which happens to me the next night, was, what could that have been? Okay.
It's a similar kind of motion, something brushing horizontally. Well, you said diagonally across your back because you're on your side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, diagonally. So, but roughly horizontal, brushing along the tent. But again, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there was a proximity sensor on your side of the tent. So what could have done that without setting up the prox alarm? Mine is explainable. There wasn't a prox alarm on my side. Okay, I get it. Something, I don't know, could have been a skunk, who knows what, brushed along the side of the tent and then went around the tent and set off the alarm, something like that.
Yeah, it could have been any creature.
Right, yes. Mine could have been any creature, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that makes, because what we had discussed before was the possibility of it being, one of the ricocheting walnuts, acorns, or beech nuts.
Now, this, on my side, it was definitely horizontal. It was something brushing against the tent as it walked by. I can't remember now which way it would have been walking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have to think on that. I might be able to. It makes the most sense that it would have been, starting at my feet and going up and then across the short end of the tent and into the range of the proximity alarm. But I don't actually remember that. So I'll have to think on that. Which way it was going.
So, and at the time we still had, out in the parking lot, we had Jen and Baron, Brian and Chewy, and Jonathan. I don't think anybody else stayed that night.
Yeah, that was before the whole crew came. And
we know the prox alarm went off roughly 4 a.m. And we know what I did.
a reaction to said prox alarm.
So prox alarm. So,
Sorry.
yeah, okay. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been any
Yes.
animal.
And even at the time, I assumed it was an animal. There was nothing, no smell or nothing that alarmed me, nothing that made me,
No smell of death. Yeah, I didn't know one either.
No. I just, again, even when I woke up, I was wondering what it was, but what critter it was. You know what I mean? It never occurred to me that it was anything but a skunk or I don't know, squirrels aren't usually out at night, but, just something brushing up against the tent. You get that lovely whoosh sound when they brush up against the nylon tent, and it kind of reverberated through my air mattress. So otherwise, I don't even know if it would have woke me up if it hadn't, also rattled through my air mattress. But no, I wasn't alarmed. It was, it was just like, I wonder what that was, And then the prox alarm went off. So.
And that led to, when the prox alarm went off, that led to the great moment of
the trackway charged.
The trackway charge. I don't know if I'd call it charging. That's more like ambering.
It was an amble. It was an
amble. Wasn't a pretty good sight to behold, was it? No.
Wasn't quite a lumber. It was a little faster than that, but it was.
Right.
And that was my next thought. What the hell is he doing? I didn't get up, mind you. I think eventually I rolled over and turned off the alarm because it was, blaring in my right ear. But other than that.
So I wanted to capture this. That's part of this here.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the moment, you never thought of Bigfoot.
No, did not cross my mind.
Not cross your mind. When the prox alarm went off, I didn't know what the heck I was. Well, after I got outside and realized that, I got no bear spray, I got no sidearm, I don't even have a stick, and I really don't have pants on. That maybe it wasn't the smartest thing in the world to do. It could have been very well running outside with a black bear or, the coyote that apparently was howling all night that night.
Mm-hmm.
So after you had the tent brush, I went outside and I came back in. I had an episode. But it wasn't the only way it was, to me, Bigfoot related was the very fact that, there was Bigfoot in the dream. So as we both know now, as we have learned, I suffer from obstruction sleep apnea. So in the dream, I'm laying there on the cot, and I can see myself laying on the cot. But on the outside of the tent, there's like a Bigfoot, holding on to my neck, and two others like beating on me, which is causing my body to flop on and convulse on the cot. And I remember, trying to wake up. I'm trying to wake up out of it, and I can still feel my body bouncing around on the cot. Now that's it seems, it seemed like it took a long time
to wake up or to stop flopping.
Both.
Do you do much lucid dreaming?
I used to, but not lately. Not since we switched to. Not since I started treatment and started sleeping through the night.
Okay.
Since we started, since I started treatment, now I sleep through the night. Feel much better.
Do you still have wacky dreams that you feel the need to try to control?
No.
Okay.
So one of the things that I did is that I went looking into the audio to find that period where that happened. And I did find it. But it's very short. You just hear me on the cot.
Really interesting.
And
well, we all know time and dreams is way different.
Yeah, timing and dreams. And that was one thing that I wanted to say was, dreams seem a lot longer than they are.
Right.
They're actually very quick. And that whole period was just very quick. So it wasn't really, to me, it wasn't Bigfoot related. What it was a lucid dream brought on by what we were doing and my medical condition at the time.
Right.
So, yeah, when I think about it, I find that part of the trip kind of scary. But now, like I said, I've got treatment for that. It seems like when we went on these trips, or when I went on these trips, in British Columbia, I had a broken hand. On this trip here, Freya, the destroyer of knees, got me. Big girl, big sweet girl. But she was playing, and
she does not watch where she's going.
No,
ever. Nope.
Nope.
I always warn people at dog park of that. She
I was
not watch where she's going.
I was an adventurer, and then I took a fur missile to the knee. But at one point, that's been good. That's being treated. The hand is about 90%. I can use the finger, but it always feels like I'm touching sandpaper.
That's really weird.
It is weird. And so now we started the treatment for the knee, because the knee, it had buckled prior to us leaving. I was, basically buckling on that knee before going to Whitehall, with the occasional, it wasn't that often to where I was buckling, but now that I've started treatment, I've buckled quite a bit on that leg.
Physical therapy will do that for you.
Yeah.
It's all right. Get past it.
But the plan of it is, I spent the winter in hibernation. I put on some poundage. Since I haven't been able to really go out and take Freya on the trails or walk anything super far, because the fear's been, I get out in like one of the far corners or something like that, and then have the knee completely buckle.
And you have to send Freya for help.
I don't know how good of a job that would be. Incredibly smart dog. But there are times, you can hear her in the background. She's been chewing on a bone. Now she's playing on everything else. But yeah, it wasn't Bigfoot related, but it was one heck of a dream. And it did happen. And I just wanted to shout out to people that are having a lot of lucid dreaming, and having problems sleeping. Go have a sleep test done. I've been very happy with the results since. And I know every time I turn around, I say anything about that CPAP, you're like, oh my God, he went pagan or vegan or whatever.
He's evangelical about the CPAP.
Yes, I am. Oh, it's changed my life. I feel so much better now.
Awesome.
Well, sleeping, sleeping makes life better.
It does.
And like I said, the incredible part of it is that, I'm not getting up using the bathroom 4 times a night, sleeping through the night, not having problems during the day, not falling asleep during mid-conversations.
No longer the narcoleptic squatcher.
Narcoleptic squatcher. Yeah. So the last personal experience I wanted to talk about was the one that happened to me on the last night. It's 2:30 in the morning, I think, when we went to bed finally. You laid down and you were out.
That is usually the way it works, yes.
Yes, it is. I've never met anybody who can fall asleep so quickly in my entire life. Usually it's accompanied with a karate kick.
Yes. Yeah.
And but I had just gotten into my sleeping bag, had just zipped up. The way we were sleeping inside the tent, she was far away from the fire pit. I was closer to it. Um, I'm laying there getting ready to fall asleep, and that's when it felt like a finger or a thumb. It felt broad. Went across. It felt like it went across my back, basically from like the kidney area along my spine and up. And then
Towards your head. Okay.
At that moment, my eyes went full saucer, and I'm laying there and I'm listening. And the thing that's getting to me is the fact that the prox alarm that's pointed at my back did not go off. And we know the prox alarm was on.
Right.
So, at that point, it's like I'm just laying there. I'm listening for like any footsteps, anything to be moving about. And I probably, it was like 20 to 30 minutes later, there was a loud wood knock. And as I'm laying there, before the wood knock, the woods were totally alive. After the wood knock, everything went dead. I mean, it went silent. All the noises outside from the crickets, the tree frogs, and whatnot just stopped. And I laid there and I thought for a while, I thought, well, there's nothing you can do about it.
This is what we call Bigfooting fatalism. Yeah.
Yeah, Bigfoot fatalism. I should have got up. But I was also thinking, if there's something right outside the tent, it's going to hear me. The moment, because I had the zipper all the way up to my neck in that mummy bag. Yeah, I was like, it's going to hear me. It'll be gone before I can get out the tent. We didn't have anything pointed out, camera-wise, out of the tent anywhere, which, given the events of what happens in the next couple of days, and now I wish we did.
Well, we'll learn.
We'll learn. But we talked about it later on that with everything that was falling, acorns and whatnot, that it very well could have been a ricochet. That, one of the acorns had fallen out of the tree, hit a rock, hit a hard piece of wood or something like that, and then ricocheted, and that's what I felt go across my back.
Right. I know we had, for example, the chairs were folded up and leaning up against the tent at what would have been your feet. Something like that.
Yeah, none of those had fallen over.
No, but I mean, it could have ricocheted off that.
Oh, yeah.
As far as things that are close to the tent that it could have ricocheted off.
Because it did go downward. That was the one thing. It did go with the direction of gravity. If it had gone opposite of gravity,
yeah, okay,
it might have been.
Yeah.
If it had gone up rather than down,
yeah,
then I think at that point in time we could say, okay,
right, yeah,
that's significant.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is what you have to do. I mean, you have to game stuff out like this and say, what is the most reasonable, rational explanation for it? And you're right, there was stuff falling the whole time. I mean, we were there in September. It's walnuts, it's acorns, it's butternuts, it's everything is just, and there's all kinds of little critters all over the place. I mean, every bit of thermal footage shows all the mice running around
and not only, having a background in bow hunting, knowing how arrows fly, how things are thrown and stuff like that. I also got a good bit of vector analysis in my background. And the vector analysis to me says that since it didn't hit me straight, it didn't come from the direction of the fire pit, which also rules out it coming from the direction of picnic table. It came from that area between the entrance to the campsite and the picnic table. It would add to it.
Which makes sense because, obviously not obviously, but in that case, the picnic table and the fire pit, it was much more open. Do you know what I mean? It's a clearing. Our tent was along the edge of the clearing. So, in the very center, stuff's going to have to ricochet because it's not going to fall straight down. You know what I mean? Because we're talking about a clearing a good 40 feet across.
Yep.
So, but we were along the tree line at the edge of the clearing.
And, a lot of those sounds that we recorded, it did, I don't know, like the chirps and whatnot, like when we left the recorder, and then I found that thermal hit that had me confused for a couple hours until I debunked it. Some of that, since going over it and going through it, also now reminds me of, just owls chirping. Could have just been an owl chirping one at each other. But I admit there is some audio from out in the parking lot area that makes me go,
Yeah.
So that was something I wanted to bring up. This is something I wanted to capture. This is Saturday morning, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is first day of March.
Yes.
Yep. Last thing I wanted to capture out of Whitehall, and you can throw Jonathan's research area in there as well. Our thoughts about it holding the Sasquatch. Sorry, I know a lot of people don't like that term, Squatchy or whatever. I don't know, but between the two areas, I don't see any reason why not. Obviously, to me that area seemed kind of rural. I don't know. It's a little bit more populated than I would have expected, but obviously, there are wild animals running around there. Also, I wanted to bring up what happened at that one campsite. So when we got there, and this would have been Friday
Yes.
that we got there, ran in the gym. We thought about expanding our footprint while we had opportunity to encompass not only that campsite, but other campsites.
Right. So we went on a little pilgrimage, check out the neighboring campsites. To be clear, this is not like a campground. These are spaced out. I mean, like quarter of a mile between sites.
Yep.
So it would have expanded the search area considerably.
You don't really hear, and there's no way to hear really the other campsites unless they're being obnoxiously loud.
That's true. Because and I offer as proof, at one point, Jonathan was at the neighboring campsite, again, the next closest one, and he ran his generator to charge his equipment. I never even knew he had it going. Seriously. So, and we didn't hear any of the stuff that he heard down at that site on Saturday night either. So it was, they were, and it was pretty thick. The forest there is pretty thick.
Yeah. So what happened when we went to that first campsite? I've said it a couple of times. But what was your perspective?
You're talking about the one where we had to cross the creek, or would have had to cross the creek. We chose not to, but so so you have the main road, and then there's a parking area, and then there's a path that goes back to the campsite, and it is quite a trek just to get to the campsite. And we got in about probably 30 yards or so. Realized we would have to cross a creek to get to this site. And we're just standing on the edge talking about how, this does not seem very convenient. We had, stuff and the tent and all that good stuff. And as we were talking, something was moving around in the, I guess, bushes. It was low foliage. across the creek from us. And it seemed decent sized, although I don't remember seeing anything. Did you see anything?
No. In fact, when we got down there, what I thought was with it being the end of September,
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe we had, a deer out in front of us, doing some antler stuff, in some trees, because there was, to my, what I would have been, 11 o'clock, there was something thrashing around in there.
Yep.
But also, I became aware that about 1 o'clock, there's something thrashing around in there.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I thought, well, we're going to see a couple deer.
Mm-hmm.
And as we sat there, the thought then came was, what if it's a bear?
Yes, and we did not have bear spray on our persons.
No. Didn't bring a camera down, didn't have bear spray.
We were literally just scoping out campsites.
Literally scoping out campsites. And then we go into that night and we have those howls, which I didn't hear.
That's really interesting because they were tremendously loud at the campsite.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that everybody was set up at.
I was like, you're kidding me, right? When I started the review, and I heard those howls for the first time, which was in review, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Because when you guys talked about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. It sounds like a wolf. And then all of a sudden it just...
Yeah, it sounded like a wolf. I mean, I do... And because we got it from two independent sources, it rings true. I have not done my own research on this one, but two separate folks suggested that there's often an alpha coyote who goes first.
Alpha coyote, hybrid coyote.
Right, and he'll call back, and he sounds much more like a wolf. Not a lot of the because the yipping stuff, I guess, is sort of, beta behavior kind of, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so that lead alpha will sound like a wolf, and then the pack responds and they sound like coyotes, and that's the difference there. But it felt close-ish. I mean, quarter of a mile maybe, but yes, in the opposite direction that you and Evan and Jonathan had gone. But it never would have even occurred to me that you wouldn't have heard that, because it was loud and it was close, and and it was freaking out poor Baron.
Yeah, I don't remember if... Well, it had to be before. If it was before, well, Jen doesn't remember it. So maybe it was when we returned is when we heard the two shots. We heard gunfire off to our east. I believe it was east. And so that made me wonder if maybe there wasn't coyote hunters out there with the coyote box, with the calling box.
Oh, yeah, that could very well be. If so, it worked, and they called them in because they were definitely getting closer.
Yeah, that was a strange thing about it. Between the movement down at the campsite, seeing what you and I experienced, we didn't see.
Right.
Didn't see anything.
Did not see anything.
Just like after realizing we didn't have the bear spray, we got...
Right, yeah, we're like, oh, this is a bad idea.
This is a bad idea. Yep. And,
sorry, we're not used to bears. Yeah.
You would have been safe. I couldn't run.
All I got to do is outrun you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You could have ran, and I'd been, whatever, bear food or coyote food or wolf food. They'd taken one look at me and said, he's so marbled. Yeah.
He'll be succulent.
So, yeah. Succulent, marbled. And, yeah, that would have been it. So now we both know what happens after we left Whitehall without saying. And in a lot of ways, just to let people know, there was a lot of work done in the next couple of days, but it ended up being a gut punch. It kind of felt like a gut punch.
Mm.
But that's another reason why I wasn't so quick to hop on the videos, is just knowing that that's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to say what we found.
Yep.
Got to be truthful about it. Got to lay down the answers, and the answers are not going to be um, what we had hoped for. That said, I kind of pushed that material off to the side for a while and didn't really crack it open until February 24th, or a little bit before that. I was listening
Mm-hmm.
to the audio
Mm-hmm.
through February, and I pretty much had conditioned myself to um, there's nothing interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't capture anything that I thought was interesting
Mm-hmm.
or be of interest. Well, once again, that staying true with the theme of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just when you thought you don't have anything of interest, the curveball gets thrown.
Mm-hmm.
And February 2024, going through review of the upcoming material that you'll see coming. It caught me off guard.
Yep. When you least expect it.
Least expected. Least expected.
But again, I mean, we're thorough. We record a lot, which means it takes you a long time to go through the stuff. I'm not really allowed to do it because I apparently don't hear half of what he does, so I'm not really allowed to do that. But yeah, there is often reward to being that thorough. Let's put it that way. And I think we've sort of set the precedent of being very thorough. Lots of recording, lots of investigating, and sometimes it actually works.
Yeah. So, don't know when get to all that material because I am still processing it. I have, let's put it this way, I've got people outside processing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's another thing too. We don't grab something and just throw it out there and say, "Hey, look at this."
well,
We interrogate it really heavily, and we ask opinions of people that we know and trust, and we, go at it hard before we put anything out truly publicly.
although admittedly, the footage there where I thought I had a thermal baby Bigfoot,
Uh-huh.
yeah, as soon as I saw it, I like talking to Jen, you, and Eyes about it, and
Well, that's not public though. That's like it's
yeah,
like our peer group review is what that is.
and we was all like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And once that happy bubble got filled with air,
I know.
yeah,
It's all right. I really, really dig stuff like that. I know it's hugely disappointing to some people, but I friggin' love stuff like that where we can pull stuff apart. And because, in my opinion, that's how you get at the truly extraordinary evidence, is by taking apart all of the meh and borderline evidence. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
That's how you separate the wheat from the chaff. There's so much chaff, but we have to be very, thorough and consistent and, again, persistent about going through all this stuff and eliminating all the stuff that we can possibly explain. I think we're really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're really good at putting together the videos that shows how we do that. And that, I think, is hugely valuable. More so than, oh, here's this video clip that I just found 10 minutes ago. I'm going to put it on Facebook or YouTube because I think it might be. No, we spend weeks interrogating this stuff and passing it around to friends that we trust and having them take it apart.
Yeah.
And that's why, 99% of it we debunk. I think that is hugely valuable, and I just think it's cool to see, what can be done with, these recordings and these experiences to pull them apart and figure out what they actually are. So again, I get that it's disappointing. I think it's really super cool. I get very excited when we do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're gonna have in the next couple of days of this trip,
Mm-hmm.
an enormous happy bubble get filled, and that enormous happy bubble is going to get popped. But then all of a sudden, um, February 24th, right? Yeah, February 24th happens, and when we thought we had all the answers, now somebody went and changed the questions. So it was very. So we got some interesting stuff coming.